Hello guys, in this video we'll explain the page layout inside Microsoft Word. So in the newer version of Microsoft Word, the page layout tab is split into two tabs, the design tab and the layout tab. In the design tab here, you can change the page background, you can add a page color, a color background, you can add page borders, and finally you can add watermarks. So to change the color or the background color of your page inside your document, you can click on the page border, page color. You can choose a solid color as background color inside your document, or you can select the fill effect. Here in the fill effect you can select a gradient color, which means you can add two colors and the background color will be as a gradient as it look in the background. Also in the fill effect you can select a texture, for example this texture. You can select a pattern. Here you can change the foreground and the background color of the pattern. So if we click OK, now my background color is filled with a pattern style. And finally, in the fill effect you can select a picture. So let's say I want to select a picture from my device. If we click OK now my background is filled with a picture. So I have a picture in my background. Now if I want to remove the page color, I can simply click here on no color. So again, to change the page color or the background color inside my document, you can click on page color and select a solid color, or you can select or click on the fill effect. Here you can add a gradient color, change the shading style of the gradient color from horizontal to vertical to diagonal. You can select a texture background from this drop down list. You can select a pattern, or you can add a picture as background inside your document. Now if we want to add a border inside Microsoft Word, a page border, we can click on page border here. In the style drop down list here you can select a style to your border. So let's say for example I want to select this style, I want to change the color to red, and I only need to apply this style to the top border. I can add another style, let's say to the bottom border. Here I can select another style to the right border, and I can finally here select an empty style or no border for the left side. Now if you click OK, as we see here, a border is applied on the page we are working on. So again, we click on page borders. Here you can select the style of your border. You can change the color of the border and the width of the line. Also, you can select an art style to your border. So for example here, if I select the stars border, now if you click OK, as we see here, now my border is styled with the stars art as shown on the screen. So you can select a special art to your border from this drop down list here. I can select the hearts. Now my border style is filled with the hearts style. Now if you want to remove the border, we can click on the art here and click on none, then OK, and my border now is removed. And finally here, I want to unselect or uncheck the borders, or I can click on none here and all the boarding style will be removed. Now if I want to add a watermark inside my document, so let's first, for example, generate random text. Let's say I want to add a watermark inside my document. So the watermark, it's a ghost tag such as confidential or urgent behind the content on the page. So it's a kind of mark to let me, for example, say that this document is confidential or do not copy, or add a special mark, for example, your name or anything else. So I can here from the watermark option, I can select a predefined watermark such as the confidential, as seen here in the background behind the text. I can select the confidential diagonal or horizontal. I can select the do not copy, or I can customize my own watermark. So if I click on watermark, then click on custom watermark, here you can customize your watermark. You can add a picture as watermark, so a picture will be added behind the text in the background, or you can select the text watermark here and write your own text. So let's say I'm writing my own name. I can select the font style. For example, this is one. I can increase or decrease the size. Then I can select a color to my watermark. I can change the layout between diagonal watermark or horizontal the watermark. So if I choose diagonal, then click on apply. As we see here, I want to increase the width, the size. If I click apply, now a watermark with my name was added to my document. That's the diagonal layout. I can select the horizontal layout. Then if I click apply, I can see the change that takes effect. Now if we click close, a watermark was added to my document on all pages and not only the selected pages. So to add watermark, we click on watermark. Then you can customize your own watermark by clicking on custom watermark. Then you can here in the text watermark write your own text, select the font style, the size, the color, and the layout of the watermark here. If I want to remove the watermark, I click on the watermark button here, then click on remove watermark. Now in the layout tab, I can change the margins of my pages. So the margin is the space between the edge of the page to the content. So we have the upper margin, which is the space between the upper edge of the paper and the content. That white space is called a margin. I have the right margin, the left margin, and finally the bottom margin. By default, the margin of the page is normal, so the space between the top edge of the page and the content is 1 inch here, for example. Also the space or the left margin is 1 inch, the bottom and the right are 1 inches also. I can change the margin. Let's say I want to select a narrow margin. So as we see here, the space between the edge of the paper or the page is narrowed. I can select a wide margin. So now the space between the edge of the paper and the content is increased. Or finally, we can customize our own margins. So if I click on custom margins here, I can modify or select manually the margins inside my page. So I can customize the top margin, the left margin, the bottom margin, and the right margin. Now if I click on OK, I have my own or my custom margin. Now you can change the orientation of your page. We have two orientations we can use. The default orientation of a paper is the portrait orientation. You can change the orientation of your document to or your page to landscape. So you can select the landscape orientation or the portrait orientation. In the page setup here, also you can select the size of your paper or your page. You can select the A4 size, you can select the A3 paper size, the letter size, any size that suits your needs. In my case, I will select the A4 size. In the page setup, I can change the paragraph. I can apply multiple columns on my paragraph. So let's say I want to select the first paragraph and I want to change the paragraph or to divide this paragraph into two columns. So if I click on this option here, now we see that the paragraph is divided into two columns. I can select 3 columns. I can select the left column style here, so the left column is smaller than the right one. I can select the right column here, or I can find more columns. If we click on more columns button here, we can specify the number of columns and the preset here. I need to, my case, select one per column. We can add lines between our columns. So if I select the two columns, I can add line between the columns by clicking or checking this checkbox here, line between. So now if I click OK, I can see that a line is inserted between my columns. Here in the paragraph section, we can increase or decrease the indent of the paragraph from the left side or from the right side, as seen before in the home tab here, indent, or here paragraph settings. Also, I can add spacing before or after the paragraph as seen before. We will continue in next video.